Earlier this week, there were some volatile comments issued by Candice Wiggins that shook up the women's basketball community. In an article published by the San Diego Union Tribune, Candice Wiggins effectively slammed her former employers, describing a culture of bullying for being heterosexual. Some quotes include this: "Me being heterosexual and straight and being vocal in my identity as a straight woman was huge. I would say 98% of the women in the WNBA are gay women. It was a conformist type of place. There was a whole different set of rules they, the other players, could apply." She added that people were deliberately trying to hurt me all of the time. I had never been called the B word so many times in my life than I was in my rookie season. I had never been thrown to the ground so much. Her remarks drew swift reaction from fellow players, reporters, and fans of the WNBA. A few samples from the Twitter sphere. Michelle Smith, a longtime WNBA reporter. "Have great affection for Candice. Known her since she was 17. Don't deny her own WNBA experience, but not one I've heard others convey." Misty Bass, a 2014 WNBA champion and assistant coach at Indiana University. "Whoa, 10 years in WNBA and my femininity was never bullied. I celebrated my differences. Never asked to appear more manly and never pushed to change my sexuality or feel bad for it." And this from Monique Curry, who runs the website Women's Basketball 24/7. "Definitely cannot dismiss someone's personal experience, but I've never heard of anyone being bullied because they were not a homosexual. That's the beauty of the WNBA. No one actually cares about your sexual preference. Everyone is accepted for who they are, believe it or not." And that is the general consensus of the response to the Candice Wiggins story. No one is denying that what she described took place, but they are questioning her sincerity. She did mention that an autobiography is in the works, and one way to generate interest is to make a controversial statement that will create clickbait. There's also a sense of irony when you consider that just 2 years ago, she published a story in the Players Tribune highlighting her top 5 competitors in the WNBA, among them her former teammate, Simone Augustus. I covered Candice throughout most of her WNBA career, including 4 seasons with the Minnesota Lynx. I was among the first to know that she would not continue with the Lynx following the 2012 season, but I never received any inclination that she was mistreated by her teammates. And while I'm not privy to everything that goes on in locker room and practice, the vibe I got from Candice was an outspoken, positive, and philanthropic figure. She'd love to talk about how her father influenced her as an athlete and how his death due to complications from the AIDS virus inspired her to become an advocate for AIDS awareness. To make these remarks now, 2 years after you retired, when you don't have to confront anyone that you slammed, seems a bit strange. Some might even call it cowardly. I also have issue with how the story itself was presented. It was a one-source column with no effort to corroborate any of her statements. And yes, he said, she said types of stories can only go so far because you don't have any other evidence to back up what's being said. But you have to consider what the source can gain by saying what he or she says. Another complexity to this story: if Candice was bothered by the treatment of fellow teammates, why wait to come out with this information now instead of addressing it directly within the team? What this story also does is give ammunition to the haters of the WNBA and women's sports in general, because now they can point to a column that said, well, a former player doesn't think this league is any good, so why should we give a damn? If anyone watching this video has a perspective they would like to contribute, I want to hear it. But in closing, it's disheartening to see a fellow athlete, one who had much success, including a championship in 2011, use this outlet to express herself.